Hey there, Internet neighbor. I'm the old rambling nerd, and you have found History of Comic Book Movies. Today we're going to look at the Tim Burton / Joel Schumacher Batman franchise. We're going to look at the Batman franchise through two lenses. One being the scaffolding that I said the Superman films set up for all superhero films going forward. That being, all superhero films are answering one of three questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And where do we go from here? AKA, what kind of superhero am I going to be? We're also going to look at what the Batman franchise added to the structure of superhero films going forward from there. Last time we talked about 1989 Batman. I said it answered the question, who am I? And I said it answered this question by saying that Bruce Wayne / Batman, scared little kid trying to stop crime from ever happening again. Batman Returns answers the question, what happens when you let Tim Burton produce the film that he is directing? But on the whole, it's a Tim Burton film about goofy, crazy outsiders. The Penguin's in charge of this death freak circus mob gang people thing. And Batman's just kind of in the background throwing some punches, straight up murdering some people. Is we don't spend any time with Batman. We spend time with the villains. Not only do we spend time with the villains, we spend time with Tim Burton characters. There's three main villains in this film. There's Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. And this character is part Jack Skellington, just a touch, just a drop of Dracula, and a whole lot of Christopher Walken. If that doesn't say Tim Burton to you, then you haven't seen the guy's work. Max Schreck is a wholly created Tim Burton character. The Penguin and the Catwoman, not only does he view them as outsiders, and it's kind of strange and kind of the freaks of the piece, they become Tim Burton characters. Let me explain. The origin story tells us everything. Not only do we spend time with the villain's origin story over learning anything new about Batman, the origins of the Penguin and Catwoman. In the film, Catwoman is a mousy, clumsy 1950s put-upon secretary, lives alone, has no man, takes care of cats. She's pushed out of a window for learning things you're not supposed to learn, you know, like you do, and doesn't die, instead is licked back to health by cats, and because of that can do backflips while dressed in black leather. A weird, quirky, freaky outsider, not a Batman character. The Penguin's origin is as the firstborn, deformed, sent down the Nile River / Gotham sewer system, and that experience allows him to control penguins, become the leader of the circus freak gang, and run for mayor so that he can steal the firstborn of Gotham. Again, freaky, outcast Tim Burton character, not comic book character. In the comic books, here's the Penguin's origin story. He's a rich guy that likes to steal stuff. In the comic books, here's Catwoman's origin. She's a poor person who likes to steal stuff. That's what they do. Now, they bump up against Batman, and there's interesting stories going from there. But in the Tim Burton film, he creates these characters that have the look, a little bit, and the name, but not the core of the personality. And all that is fine. All that to say, Batman Returns sits off in a corner, not really being a Batman film, not asking the questions that we're looking at. But it's important, and we'll come back around to why Tim Burton's film is important to the Batman franchise and what would happen next. Batman Forever looks at the question of, why am I here? The Superman trope is, you want the girl, you lose the powers, you get the girl, and then you have to give up the girl, get the powers back to save the day. Batman Forever. Directed by Joel Schumacher, Batman is now played by Val Kilmer. The pretty blonde in the film is now played by Nicole Kidman. She's a brand new character, not seen in the comics, named Chase Viridian. And the way Batman Forever goes about answering that question is Bruce Wayne is about to tell Chase Viridian that he doesn't want to be Batman anymore. He's going to give up being Batman. And throughout the film, they've played with this idea of who is Batman? Is he the Batman? Is he the costume? Is he the vigilante? Or is he the man? Is he the man or the bat? At the end of the film, Batman has to make a choice. Does he save Robin, which represents the crime fighter, which represents the bat, or does he save Chase Viridian? Because, of course, she's kidnapped. She's the girlfriend. Does he try to save her, representing who he is as a man? Away from the crime fighter, can he be Bruce Wayne, or is he Batman? Is he bat, or is he man? And Batman has to make this choice. And so they play with this idea of why am I here? They also play with the idea of where am I going? And they play with this not only with the discussions with Chase Viridian, the psychologist, not just the final scene, but Batman and Chase talk about man and bat kind of throughout the film. But also there's a duality which is found not in Batman, but in his partner Robin. Robin's story here is Two-Face, personification of duality, kills his parents, because that's how you become a superhero. A parent or parental figure has to die if you're going to be a hero. It's just kind of like in the handbook. The kids with two parents that want to be superheroes get laughed out of the clubhouse. But Robin wants revenge. He wants to push vigilantism all the way to the extreme of he's going to kill the guy that set him on his path. And Robin and Batman have, not too subtle, but they have discussions about what does it mean to be a hero. So Batman Forever, as flawed as it is, it's probably my least favorite Batman film in this franchise, still gets at these questions. Why am I here? It brings up the trope of will he choose to be Batman or will he choose to save the girl? And it actually talks quite a bit about what does it mean for a Batman-like hero, in this case Robin, to be pushed to his extreme. And does good win or does evil win? What kind of hero am I going to be? The question asked by Batman and Robin is, what happens if we made another episode of the 1966 Adam West film? And now we get to Batman and Robin, the most notorious, the most infamous film on this list. I will say this, Batman and Robin is the second best Batman film in this franchise. 89 Batman is the best. Batman Returns isn't a Batman film. Batman Forever tries to go both ways. Batman and Robin leans into the camp. And I like it better than I like Batman Forever. Batman Forever breaks the fourth wall. No one looks at the camera. No one addresses the audience. Hi audience. Nobody does that. But there's these little quips about Holy Rusted Metal, which is a reference back to the catchphrase of Robin on the TV show. They talk about movie rights. Right? They talk about all these little things that are for the audience. They're not for the characters. Characters make comments to each other that are for the audience, not for the person they're talking to. They're breaking the fourth wall. And that's fine, but they do that while trying to be this dark, serious Batman film, while also trying to sell toys. Batman and Robin says, we're an episode of the 1966 Batman show. But here's the thing. We talked about it last time. Batman can be lighthearted. The 1966 television show with Adam West is selling DVDs and comic books and toys based on that property 40 years later. But Batman 66, why it's better than the Batman and Robin film, Batman and Robin went with camp. They went with camp instead of satire. Because the 66 Batman film, it's satire and camp, and it kind of sits right in the middle. Because in 1966, you have the pop culture movement. And Batman reflects and is a part of the cool art scene of pop art. Pop art, in part, was taking icons taking pop culture and bringing it into the art scene. Lichtenstein is literally taking comic book panels and comic book sound effects, blowing them up large, deconstructing them, and then presenting them as art. Batman is the comic books that the art culture is drawing from. The wow, pam, biff becomes art, and it becomes presented right there on the screen. It's this comic book come to life. So it's satirizing the culture that it grows out of, just like the art movement was satirizing and deconstructing it. But it's also this great camp, over the top. Why does it work? It works because I said so. Why does the shark go away? Because I have shark repellent. I have bat shark repellent. You know, why does the Joker get out of prison? Because the base that he's standing on, the pitcher's mound, shoots him up into the air on a giant spring. Does any of this work in practicality? No. Would any of this work in the Nolanverse? No. But the 66 Batman is this lighthearted, campy satire. So what Batman Returns adds to the language of superhero films is the movies are now about the villain. The villain becomes the star, especially in the second film and moving forward. What Batman Forever and later Batman Returns add to the language of film movies is we gotta sell the toys. This has to be about merchandising. This has to be about franchise. Warner Brothers took a character and made it into a franchise. And that will greatly change the way superhero films are made going forward. So the story of the films in real life also impacts how we understand superhero franchises today. Batman hugely successful. They let Tim Burton off the chain. He directs Batman Returns. The problem is Warner Brothers gets freaked out by the reaction of parents to the McDonald's Happy Meal tie-in to Batman Returns. And it was clearly a tie-in. They try to kind of distance themselves later on, but it's very clear that Batman Returns was supposed to be Happy Meal toys. Batman Returns is not a movie for 6-year-olds. It's not a movie you're supposed to sell French fries with. It's not. And so Warner Brothers decided they were going to get somebody new in there, Joel Schumacher, and he was going to make it more family friendly, more toy centric. It was going to be something they could sell as a brand, which is what happens in Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. There's costume changes, there's all kinds of toys. That was kind of the point of Batman and Robin. One example of how there was this movement from focus on Batman the character to focus on Batman the franchise is from the movie posters. The first Batman film just has the Batman logo to focus not just on the character, but on the icon. The second film, well, we know who Batman is, so who else is in this film? Well, you get Batman, Catwoman, Penguin, and across the top, Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito. So Batman gets top billing, Michael Keaton gets top billing. The focus is still on him, and now the world expands. Now we get to Batman Forever, and that poster has got Batman on it. It's got Robin. It's got Two-Face. It's got the Riddler. It's got the pretty blonde Chase Meridian. It's got the Batmobile on it. And it's this huge kind of conglomerate world. And I like those, 80s style action adventure, here's everything you're going to see poster. But it's just this busy thing, and weirdly it kind of goes from right to left, which is opposite of how we read. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but clearly the film is not about just Batman. It's about everything in the movie. That's what we're going to do. It's about this, all of this. This is what you're going to watch. By the time you get to the Batman and Robin poster, the design's a little bit simpler. Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and Freeze. But Freeze is top and almost center of that poster, and Arnold Schwarzenegger gets top billing off over George Clooney. Now granted, in 1997, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bigger character, bigger name than George Clooney, and so he would get top billing, but that also means that the bad guy gets top billing over the hero of the film. We've moved from icon character focus to franchise focus. It's just interesting to see how this didn't become about who is this character, but what is his world and where are the toys. Just like in the 1980s, there weren't a lot of strong contenders for good superhero films in the 1990s. However, my favorite superhero film came out in the 90s. Go ahead, like, subscribe. Down in the comments, fill in what you think my favorite superhero film of the 1990s was. I will give you one clue. We're moving away from Batman. It's not part of the Batman franchise. There's a 1990s superhero film that is my all-time favorites. Next time, I'll tell you that story. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you learned a little something. Hope you had some fun. And as always, bye, Joe.